It is a travel day today, and we are headed to Ferrystone State Park, which is also here in Virginia. And so we're just out walking the dogs this morning down by the lake. It's foggy this morning, but it's supposed to clear up and be a nice day today. So
one of the things we've run into when we do this shorter park hopping is that it leaves you plenty of time that morning that you're leaving to still do something that morning. And actually we've run into issues with check-in and check-out time. Some of these parks, if a park has a 12 o'clock checkout time and the place where we're going has a 4 o'clock check-in time and we're only driving an hour and a half, we're going to be getting at the park that we're arriving at way early before the check-in time. So when we've had those extreme examples, we call ahead to the park, and usually it's no problem. We have had a couple of instances where they've said, well, there is someone checked into your site, and but we've never had an issue once we got there. That we've always been able to just get right on into our site. So we made it to Ferrystone. This massive park was built back in 1936. It's a 4,741 acre park, and a lot of the structures and buildings that are still in use today were built by the CCC back then. So this park has some good history.
to Ferrystone, and it is a very small park. It's one of the oldest original parks in Virginia. One of the original 7, I believe it's called, built in the 30s. It's really, really small, and this is one where I would say egress and ingress is very tight. You can see this old road, and they have a combination of pull-throughs and back-end sites. This loop that I'm on, it's all just electric and water. And then it's the way this park is laid out, it's kind of spread out. We're really not near anything. We had to drive a little ways to get to this loop. And then the lake is back over that way, and there's park office, a bunch of other stuff, but you gotta drive to get to it. So the only thing here on this loop is just the camping.
This park had an outstanding trail system, and there were some that came right up by the loop that we were staying on, so we were able to take advantage of those while we were staying there. It was great for the dogs.
So, the legend of the Ferrystone, what is it? Well, a long time ago, there were fairies that lived in this area. And when the fairies were brought news of Christ's death by an elfin messenger, they all cried. And when they did, their tears fell to the ground, and it crystallized this rock below into these cross formations, which are the stones that you can find in this area.
So the rocks that you can sometimes find on the ground here are actually mineral formations called starolite. And these types of mineral formations, they occur in other places around the world, but in this particular part of the country, they're prevalent. Here's some good examples. And so there's a place in the park grounds where they do let you walk around and try to scratch around on the ground and find some. So that afternoon we drove over there to see what it was about.
Looking for Ferrystone, which you can find apparently on the ground here.
And it had rained recently, and we had the dogs with us, so we didn't really get a chance to look all that well for any stones. And it's pretty picked over, as you can imagine, after years and years of people coming here.
It is a nice morning here at Ferrystone, and we are over here at the beach area. So just a note to self, if you're ever coming to Ferrystone State Park, there is no cell phone service and there is no Wi-Fi. And so this is one of those off-the-grid parks. But I say there's no Wi-Fi except over here at the little snack bar beach area. They do have a Wi-Fi signal. So Kelly and I came over here this morning just to let everybody know why we were out of touch.
So right there close to the park where we were staying was the city of Bassett, Virginia. And so Kelly and I drove in that day to check it out. there are a lot of these big warehouse type buildings, and then this was the Bassett Community Market, and here's the Bassett High School, and so you get the picture. It was all Bassett all the time. That was interesting. And then here is perhaps the first time I've ever seen a bus graveyard driving back to the campground. So yeah, we had planned on eating back at the camper this night, and we were in for the night and preparing to get ready to be on the road again tomorrow. We are on the road again. We're heading from Ferrystone State Park to Stone Mountain State Park. We're going to go from Virginia into North Carolina. Stone Mountain State Park is just outside of Roaring Gap. It looks like it's a little under 2-hour drive. So after we get some breakfast, get this thing hitched up, we're going to head on out. So luckily the weather had been cooperating with us. We were having some nice weather. And today we were going to be headed mostly south and west as we headed back down into North Carolina. Today's drive, once we dipped down into North Carolina, we were going to be going through Mount Airy, North Carolina, which we had read about and knew was the home of Andy Griffith. The Andy Griffith Show set in this mythical town in North Carolina. So we come driving up, and here's Barney Fife driving the cop car down the streets of Mayberry. No, right when we pulled into town. I guess it's one of these tours or whatever, which they look like somebody was driving and two people were in the back seat, so he was giving them the tour. All the shops, everything was referencing Andy and Barney and Aunt Bee and Opie, and so they were totally claiming the Andy Griffith Show there in Mount Airy. So we made it to Stone Mountain State Park. This is a rather large park, over 14,000 acres of park. And its big claim to fame is this big exposed granite dome that they have here. And it's got lots of rock climbing available, and then also a lot of trout streams and so forth coming off this big domed mountain here. Well, we made it to Stone Mountain. This park's quite different. I haven't seen the Stone Mountain yet, but we're kind of like in this little valley. And obviously you can see them. I think Stone Mountain's over there somewhere. There's a lot of trails around here. There's a creek over here. Just kind of getting our bearings. But it was an easy drive. About an hour and 45 minutes. So yeah, getting in and out of this place is super easy. It's really big. There was a big loop where you could turn around up there. So you came in this way, turned around on the loop, and then it's real simple to back into these big sweeping spots. And so there's the rest of the loop over that way, and then there's another loop back that way. So we were going to be here in the Roaring Gap area for one full day tomorrow to check out the park and the trails. And Roaring Gap is not much of a town. There's not much to it, so mostly we'll just be exploring the park and the area. So we will check you guys next time from Stone Mountain State Park.